Welcome to the What Day Is It podcast. This is the first airing. If you are here listening to these two idiots talk, well, bless your soul, you're in for a treat. Here on What Day Is It, we drop every Wednesday, but really every day is Hump Day. So nice to meet you guys. My name is Shane Rigdon, owner and operator of Rigdon Ranch, which this beautiful podcast is brought to you by. And over here, this is my co-host Fluffy, aka
Aaron. I think it's supposed to be Aaron, aka Fluffy, aka Beef. I got two nicknames. We'll jump into that one day.
I guess aka whatever you want to be. Big sexy, big honcho, big camel man.
No, not my nicknames. Just pet names.
Just pet names. Whatever. We all call him Fluffy. It was kind of a runoff of the what's the comedian's name?
Gabriel Iglesias. No.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, Fluffy.
Yep. I thought Gabriel Iglesias was a singer.
No.
Oh, it's Enrique. It's Enrique. My bad.
Iglesias. Yep. No, so it was a runoff of that. He's had that nickname for a real long time. But anyway, we are here to talk to you guys about a lot of animal pertaining things, whether it is zookeeping, animal husbandry, which is not talked about enough. Probably a lot about camels because we're camel specialists. That's what we do for the most part. Everything in the animal world, from legislations, the USDA, ZAA. We're here to talk about a little bit of everything: the good, the bad, the ugly. And that is kind of the goal of this podcast. So, pull with us. We're going to see what happens with this, and we hope to give you a little bit of knowledge as long as some entertainment. But we figure since this is the first time, we'd give you a little bit of an introductory on, why we do what we do, who we are, where we come from, and where we are now. So maybe Aaron over here, aka Fluffy, wants to give us a little bit of a kickoff, talk about Jodan Farms, where he came from, where we both came from.
So yeah, I started Jodan Farms when I was a wee little lad. Had a couple birthday parties out here. My dad was a magician, is still a magician, and he borrowed animals, him and other magicians, and they used lions and tigers. My dad mostly used the doves, and I just remember the doves being all over the house some days because my dad was a pretty busy guy. But he's not only a magician, he just does that part-time. And started working at the farm. First job was a petting zoo. That's when the farm still had elephants, actually. And was paid $35 for my first day cleaning up poop in the petting zoo.
The glory days.
The best day. Man, I miss petting zoos. They were the easy money.
Keep talking.
And so then eventually roll over 14 years old, and my first time actually working for the farm part-time was at the Milwaukee County Zoo. Mm-hmm. I was with my neighbor Kyle. All three of the brothers worked there, but I was with Kyle at the time. And we just did a camel ride for the day. That was a good experience, and then I just fell in love. I just kept going with it. A couple times during the summer, worked it, and then next year it was more and more, and then I think I worked for the farm about 10 years full-time or so, part-time and full-time. Then I took a break, came back, took another break, came back, and then took another break, and now I'm here at Rigdon Ranch.
Unfortunate, isn't it?
That's a little summary.
We always keep coming back to this property.
Yeah, same with Racine, just you can't leave.
You can't leave, no, that's true. But Jodan Farms, for those who don't know, probably most of you who don't know, I would imagine most of you are coming off of TikTok and you're not from our area. So Jodan Farms was a local zoo in Racine County here. It was a smaller zoo, it was a private zoo that was basically in a backyard. Jodan Farms was in the name, but it was a zoo. We had lions, tigers, bears, oh my, over the years, and I was in business well over 40 years. I didn't get there until I was 15, so I was pretty late into the game. Lucky Fluffy over here really got to stick it around through a lot of thick or thin stuff with those guys for many years. But these guys, they were incredibly fascinating people, and honestly, it was a pleasure to work for them. My boss was Robert Meyer, son of Don Meyer. Don Meyer was the Don of Jodan Farms. These guys were meticulous animal people, very, very important people in the animal industry. See, Don, he, outside of Jodan Farms, ran another company called Elephant Management. And Elephant Management turned into be the most efficient elephant kind of consulting company in the United States at the time. And when Don Meyer passed away, the AZA actually took elephant management and put it into their handbook, and that is the elephant management we all know today. Unfortunately, I never met the man. He passed away before my time. But his son, Robert Meyer, he's one of my heroes for sure. I got to learn a lot of stuff from him. And they transported animals all over the country. They trained animals all over the country. It didn't matter if it was a tiger, an elephant, a camel, of course. That's where we got all our camel loving from. But these guys were old school. They were hands-on. Everything was hands-on. They were walking lions through elevators and down hallways and through restaurants and fashion shows and all types of stuff. It was kind of like the Tiger King before Tiger King. I don't want to put it that way because, here we are. But it was a crazy, 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 fascinating place. And when I started, I was 15. The first thing I did was camel rides, also at Milwaukee County Zoo. And the first camel I ever worked was Doofus. I didn't work him that day. I had no idea what I was doing. I was helping on the ride stand, helping people on and off the camel. I fell in love with those guys just instantaneously. The day I met that camel, I had a big old Gatorade with me. It was a hot day.
What flavor was it?
It was blue. We call Gatorade flavors by the color, not the flavor. Glacier Freeze, maybe? Is it? No, that's light blue.
Yes,
it was the dark blue.
Okay, dark blue's better.
There's two dark blues. There's a berry one, and then there's a different one. But whatever. It was a dark blue Gatorade. It was a hot day, hot summer day. I'm just my first day on the job. School is closed for the season, and I'm coming in to help with some camel rides here. And anyway, I opened this Gatorade, took a sip. I set it on the ride stand, and I swear to you, I shit you not, Doofus came over, grabbed this Gatorade with his big, slobbery, nasty camel lips, tilted his head back, and chugged my entire Gatorade in front of my face. And I tried to grab the bottle. There was nothing I could do about it. There was not a damn thing. Gone instantaneously. We're talking about camels can chug 30 gallons of water in a sitting. What do you think they can do with a Gatorade?
Eat the bottle.
It was gone. That boy has never been more hydrated in his life. He just had a full bottle of electrolytes for the first time. He was wired. That man did every ride at the zoo that day just fine. But from there on out, it was love for the camels. I've been with Doofus the longest outside of all my boys left, and all the other camels I've worked. So in a nutshell, that's kind of where we come from. Jodan Farms was a full-blown place, and why this is important is we got to do and see a lot of things that most people in the animal field don't get to do or see. There's a big difference between municipality and private. We would come into work, we'd say hi to the tiger, give him a pet, get on with chores and go with our day. We'd throw the camels in the trailer, drive to a church to do a nativity. See, everything was hands-on, unless something would kill you, we didn't have shift doors. It's very, very old school. The slogan used to be animals and people working together. That was super important. That's something that doesn't really exist in today's world. You go to a big municipal zoo, sometimes the keepers are able to handle some of, the smaller critters. So we're talking about parrots, armadillos, stuff that won't eat your face off. Though Milwaukee Zoo still has their camel demonstration as far as I know. But I'm not too sure.
That's an ex-employee of Jodan Farms, I believe, right?
That is an ex-employee. The lady that does the camel demonstrations at Milwaukee County Zoo, she learned it all here. She was an ex-Jodan Farms employee. We're scattered. We're all over. Yeah.
We're like a cancer.
That's crazy. That's crazy. I don't know. It looked like you were going to say something, so I was like, yeah. And then
well, I do have some stories that I wanted to bring up. Like, the first time I met Don.
Okay.
That I can remember. I mean, I knew Don, but the first time he actually talked to me, he was in a car. I think he was in the Ford Lightning, I want to believe. badass truck.
Ford Lightning. That's the new one. You might have it.
No. From
the F-150 Lightning. That's the new
yes.
truck.
No.
That's the electric model.
No. From was it the Lightning? Now you got me questioning myself. From Fast and Furious, the little lowrider.
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah, badass little. Let's go. And yeah, he told me to turn around. I was talking to him in the truck. He was like, "All right." So I turned around. He's like, "Yeah, you got a bigger ass than your dad." And that was the first time I actually had a conversation with him. I said, "Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. My dad doesn't have an ass."
Nothing.
And
I was just gonna ask how big your dad's ass is.
Yeah, it's not. No, it
Not that I
falls off.
haven't looked. I guess
He used to make fun of me when he sagged his pants because I wear my pants on my waist.
Mm-hmm.
He wears them up like an old man because he's an old man. So yeah, he has to wear them up there.
I never met Don. Unfortunately, I never met the great man. But Bob,
I met him at the end.
Sure. So that's unfortunate as well. But at least you got to have one crazy conversation with him.
Oh yeah, the stories, man, I've heard.
I cannot remember the first conversation I had with Bob. I can remember a few of them, but I can't remember the first one. But anyway, guys, this is kind of where we come from. We come from a very old school private animal facility, and Bob Meyer, he was also a draftsman, and he would draw and design zoos across the country, private, municipal, all sorts of them. And because these guys were consultants, there was a draftsman and trainers, they would literally build zoos across the country. Somebody would design them. Once the zoos were designed, they would locate animals for said zoos. They would transport them, get the animals to the zoos, and then train them, and then they would consult with the staff as well on how to take care of them, what to feed them, how to train them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And you'd think it'd be really lucrative.
You think it would.
But it wasn't.
You think it would. So that
it was fun.
It was fun, for sure. And what he's trying to say is Jodan is no longer. For the most part, reason being is because Robert Meyer is dead. He passed away about five years ago now or so.
5?
It's been a long time. Which is why we're rigged and ranch now. We were able to get our hands on the property a few years later and start reworking things. But the tail end, of Jodan Farms, not even just the tail end, a lot of it. They didn't know how to work with money.
No.
And there wasn't not money being made.
Lots of money.
There was tons of money being made, from consulting jobs, going out and teaching, zoos how to work with their animals, to camel rides, pony rides, petting zoos, making saddles. There was a crazy amount of money. Transport gigs, drive somewhere, pick up a parrot and drive it across the country for somebody. There was good money in this industry, and that was never something that could be opposed, but it wasn't all spent right. And I will say that the animals were always taken care of. If something was ever going to happen, the animals were taken care of first, and we did have big, fat, happy animals. That was always a thing. But
I did miss paychecks because the animals got fed before me. So
I was just gonna say that, but payroll might be a little late, or he'd give us like half a check, or this or that. Which when you're doing what you love,
it was worth it. I didn't get paid for a whole winter one time.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
I don't know. In my day, it wasn't really like as terrible for that, for me at least, because the difference in your time at Jodan Farms is you had the dream team, where I came in when everybody else started leaving. Like Mike left, Brenda left, all the important people were gone, Jamie was gone, and I, for the most part, I was working with little kids, so like I had to get paid first.
Yeah.
I was
you were the
guy.
adult.
I was the adult, and at that time there were only a couple of us, and it turned into a point where Ashley was in the barn and I was on the road, and the road is what makes the money.
Yep.
Because not to mention Jodan Farms had the zoo open here as well,
which did pick up after years, and I'm not trying to get off track, but people are local and they still don't know about this
Absolutely.
place. It blows my mind.
Absolutely. This place was established for over 40 years. They were only open to the public for 20 maybe, if that.
I had my birthday party here when I was like probably about 10 years old or so. I think I had a birthday party here.
But
and, yeah, they weren't open for public then.
No,
that was just because you got to know somebody,
Got to know somebody. When we kind of went full circle because Rigdon Ranch, we take reservations. When Jodan Farms initially opened to the public, they did reservations.
Yep.
There's old pamphlets we have laying around that says call this number for reservations. So like clearly that's the method.
Yep, I remember handing them pamphlets out.
That's crazy.
Years ago.
But people, locals really don't know about the place, which is crazy because Jodan Farms, the Myers, they have footprints in almost every state in the United States for animal work, animal husbandry, training, transport.
Except Alaska, and I think Hawaii.
I said almost, but I would bet the other ones. All the other ones, I would almost
lower
guarantee
48,
it.
Probably. Yeah,
I would just about guarantee it. And we had male lions here through the years. We had 3 male lions. We do 1 male lion at a time, and the lions they'd roar. They would roar, and they would roar loud. And you could all the neighbors, the surrounding neighbors, people a mile down the road would hear this lion roar. It echoed through the area that we are, the boonies that we're in. It would just go through the trees and flow with the wind, and people would be like, oh my God, I heard that all the time. And by the time they figured out what it was, oh my God, there's a lion next door,
Yep.
like.
Well, and people think like they roar like the MGM Grand, lion. It's roar. No, it's not. It's more like, I'm not even gonna do the song because I can't even do it right now.
Well, it's like a loud one, and then it gets progressively more quiet, like roo, 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 roo. Kind of like it's almost like an engine, like a idling engine.
Yes,
but it gets a little quiet, like from high idle to low idle.
Yeah, very slow.
Anybody that drives diesels, if that makes sense for you.
Rolling coal.
Rolling coal. Got to do a lot of that, moving these lines. I actually found a picture the other day I sent this to you I think it was Lecter the lion, the male lion, in the back on a flatbed trailer.
Yes, that was Lecter.
Surrounded by an enclosure. I'll have to throw that up on the screen.
I've done that multiple times for parades. Mostly lions we did in parades. I had a lot of things with the big cats only because the magic stuff, but we used to take them around on flatbeds with just a homemade trailer, and that was terrifying, honestly.
That was a homemade trailer?
That was a homemade trailer. That fence that was on there?
Yeah.
That's the fence that we would take, like, on jobs.
Really?
Yes. Sometimes it would have, like, a makeshift top, and we'd throw a tarp over it to go to the parade. So, like, people wouldn't be able to see what's in there. Or we'd have them, eventually we put, when we got the new aluminum crates, we put the crate in there so then the cat could be in the crate in the drive, and then take it out of the crate, let it do its thing during the parade, and then put it back in the crate and carry on its merry way. But yeah, that was always terrifying to me.
Moving cats is scary, man.
Yeah.
And
Lecter was pretty cool though.
Lecter was so dark. He reminded me of Scar from Lion King.
Yeah.
But this is kind of the importance of where we come from, because they did stuff that a lot of people didn't do back in the day, and they did stuff that wasn't allowed today. If you threw a lion on a flatbed trailer surrounded by panels, or a pen,
especially in Illinois, that ain't happening.
No, a pen built on a flatbed trailer for a parade, you would be crucified. Especially after things like Tiger King aired.
Tiger King ruined big cats.
Tiger King for sure did.
The first thing with cats that really ruined it was Siegfried and Roy. That was the big downfall. But the thing about that is, like, every big cat guy I talked to, which I've talked to quite a few, and magicians, I'm on both sides of that spectrum, and they're like, you know what? He didn't really get attacked. It seemed like he had a heart attack or stroke or something happened, and then the cat dragged him off stage to protect him. They were closer to those cats than I've been to anybody or anything in my life.
Absolutely.
And I don't see those cats doing that.
No.
Because tigers are completely different than any other cat. They are to those people, Now, if you went up on stage, it might eat you. But, like, to those people, no. To Siegfried and Roy, no.
I mean, we do have to remember that outside of large cats, a lot of animals, most species, they are wild. You know, things can happen. They can change demeanors, and depending on what was going on in the stage, maybe the cat saw something new. It freaked it out. I'm not arguing with you.
No, yeah, it could be too. But that's what everybody's thing was.
Yes,
though, you know?
I agree with you, and I agree with the small amount of people that think that about Siegfried and Roy. Because you know, after the little bit of cat work I did all these years, and moving cats for other people, and just I think the little miscellaneous stuff I've done. Learning to trust your animal is a real thing, and it's the same with the camels. I mean, I go in that pen every single day. They're 2,000 pounds. If they wanted me out, they would put a fang through my neck and whip me across the pen. Like camels,
seen it.
The animals 100% do trust these people more than people realize. And quick side note, this video is turning out absolutely awful. It keeps going out of focus for some reason. Okay. So whoever is viewing on YouTube, bear with us. This is
probably the window. We'll fix that for next time.
I think it is the window, but the audio should be good. I appreciate you guys chiming in and going through that terrible video with us. I don't know. I'm a videographer part time. You would think I know what the fuck I'm doing.
He is amazing.
I've never done a podcast. I don't do tripod work. I do run and gun, quick movement. I've also only used this lens like once, but we're gonna have some good audio, so that'll keep the show rolling. But animal behavior, it's crucial, when you're working with animals, to know how animals are going to react to things. And Siegfried and Roy, they knew how them cats acted.
Oh yeah,
for left and right. It didn't matter if they knew what to expect if that cat were to experience something new.
They were putting these cats. Sorry to talk over you, but they were putting over these cats in the most precarious positions.
Absolutely.
Like, I've done magic shows. And the ones we do are pretty simple. But, like, these cats were doing this every single night. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was in Vegas. Mm-hmm. Multiple shows a day. Like, yeah, they were probably, in my opinion, some of the best tiger people on the planet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, you can't hold, Tiger King, shout out, but...
He wasn't, like...
No, he wasn't.
He was just a guy that loved his tigers.
Yeah, he blew up tigers.
Absolutely, which was unfortunate. Because I mean, I'm pro that crazy man as far as like his tigers go. I mean, everything else, he's kind of nuts, but like
he took care of them.
He absolutely, that's all that mattered. He loved them cats. Absolutely loved them cats. But I agree, Siegfried and Roy, that was a crazy event. And those people, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
that wasn't to be dismissed. But then people go into the side of things and they're like, well, the cat did it probably because it wasn't happy. It has nothing to do with that.
No.
Absolutely nothing to do with that. The people that spew these things, whether it's about cats, a goat, camel, whatever the fuck you want to think about, talk about.
Because he's mad.
It's not because he's mad. It's not because he's unhappy. These animals, you got to realize, when these animals are raised in captivity, it's what they know. And whether you like that or not, it's what they know. It's who they know. They know the hand that feeds them. And they know what makes them happy is getting to go home into their den at the end of the day. That is their den, equivalent to whatever their den would be when they are out in the wilderness. Like, you're replacing their home in captivity, and that's what makes them happy.
Yeah.
You're not doing anything to make them unhappy. You raise a tiger, you bring it in the house, you bottle feed it, it walks around with you. That the life you give that animal is going to be what makes it happy. Just like us, if I raise a kid and we play Mario growing up, when he's growing up, and he drinks strawberry milk, whatever, those are the things he's going to grow accustomed to.
Oh yeah.
And that's what he's going to like. So people have just crazy whack, ideas about why that happened. And the truth of the matter is we'll never really know.
No, we won't.
But I definitely don't think it was an anger issue or a happiness issue for sure. Those guys, they were trained professionals. They were old school.
If it were to attack out of anger, nobody has seen an angry tiger before. I have. Like, not a lot of people have seen angry tigers. I have seen a tiger pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
That thing would rip you to shreds. It wouldn't take you and bring you to the side and protect you like it would a child. No, that thing would just rip you to pieces right there. Tigers are insanely just teeth and claws.
Absolutely.
Even babies. Teeth and claws.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've never done too much with angry cats. Honestly,
you remember Alex?
Alex was terrible.
Alex was terrifying.
Alex was absolutely terrible. There was a big...
Siberian?
Was he Siberian?
I don't know.
He was a huge
Monster.
huge tiger.
Just
He
monster.
was well over 7 feet tall, standing on his back legs,
Easily.
and he hated men. He absolutely hated men.
Would stalk you.
He would
growl.
stalk you, and every time he'd walk the corner, he would jump on his hind legs and just roar.
Whoever built that fence and that cage, man, they deserve a raise.
They deserve 2 raises for sure. He kept everybody safe. So Alex, the tiger, he was better off with our female keepers.
Oh yeah.
Now we don't know why he was scared of men. We have no idea. Alex, we housed Alex and kept him for years and years. But he wasn't ours. Alex came on a breeding loan. So we don't really know like the super early history of his life. We don't know if anything happened or if it was just a natural love for women. If who cares? That's fine. Yeah, who doesn't?
Yeah.
So he was scary, man. And
God.
when I started, so I mean when he was here too, it was probably built exactly the same. When I started, Alex's pen is so there's a very nice pen on the outside of a barn that Alex can walk outside to, and then but when he would go outside through a guillotine door, no, when he would go inside through a guillotine door, his pen inside was built out of hog panel, which is cool. You can use hog panel for anything, but you have to structure it right. You have to use the right wood. You want to use, strong enough wood. And you want to have plenty of braces and whatnot. The inside hog panel was held together with rings. It was held together with rings, and then it was bolted to the concrete. So there was no dexterity to this pen whatsoever. And every
Zero.
time he would wipe on it to scratch himself or jump on it, like the whole wall would just wobble. It was the most ghetto tiger pen I've seen in all my traveling, and to be honest with you, I don't know how nobody died. Like I don't
to
this day. And the people from that built Jodan Farms, that's the crazy part because they knew what the fuck they were doing.
Keep it in.
They kept it in, and it's hard to argue it because the cat never got out. It never got out,
which is amazing because we used to have DNR stop over here all the time about cougars.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, you guys still got your cougar? After a while, they just stopped stopping by, which tells me that the DNR is asking about our cougars. There's a cougar sighting around here. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Probably
1000%. They got the biggest natural range of any big cat in the world. People were seeing them.
And you're gonna ask if our cougar's out, but we're keeping tigers and lions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, don't worry about the tigers and lions, but is your cougar there? They stopped coming here. They just started calling, like, hey, you guys got your cougars? Yeah, okay, so it's not Jodan.
Rosie in the pen. Yeah, she said, all right, leave us alone. Just call the USDA, yell at them or something.
Yeah, wasn't us, not this time. Maybe next time, but not this time.
Maybe next time. I mean, there was some things that may have disappeared over the years, maybe walked out of a barn, but it was never a cougar.
It didn't really walk out of the barn. It kind of shot out of the barn like a bullet, but
yeah, we're what
that was a water buck.
Water buck.
Black buck are babies or little guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they water buck have big pointy horns, and on their butts, instead of a white-tailed deer like the little whitetail, they have like a looks like they sit on a white painted toilet seat. That's what their butts look like. It's hilarious. First time I seen one of them butts, I was like, looks like they tried taking a poop on a wet painted toilet seat.
That's gross.
Yeah, it was funny though. That was my first thought. I don't know.
that seems like a thought that would scroll through your head.
Yes, and
sure.
One escaped out of here, and guessing a hunter got it around his hunting season.
Who knows? Like, mind you guys, that has nothing to do with Rigdon Ranch.
No, that was years ago, and that was from somebody who didn't know what they were doing.
Absolutely. That was actually she decided to open some doors and leave some doors open and had no idea people were working in the barn and transferring this animal. And the crazy part about this is there's things that happen like this daily at zoos around the country, and they don't tell anybody.
Never. Zoos are never real about what happened.
No, they're not real at anything. 9 times out of 10, if you read an article on a death about an animal, they're not being honest. And the zoos that typically have like news feeds, blogs, papers, things like that, things for people to keep up on their animals. They're usually larger zoos or possibly municipal. And those guys, they can't even risk being honest. It's really messed up.
No, because they'll get shut down.
Absolutely.
And there'll be such an uproar from the public, like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Well, it's an animal. And the problem is, like, we don't keep track of what we're doing. That's what was so great about Don and Bob is, like, they took the head front of elephants and giraffes and, like, all the big exotic pachyderms and not so much hippos, but rhinos. Like, don't let a rhino out forwards. We know that.
Yeah, and look what happened when somebody didn't listen.
Yep. And it went boom. You put them out backwards.
Absolutely. That was Jason doing that, and then what park was that?
I forget what park it was. I'm pretty sure it was Jason was on that transport though, and they warned him. They said, "Do not open that front guillotine."
This was down to Florida.
Was it?
This was down to Florida. So they're one of our old Jodan Farms guys who now is a well-renowned national camel trainer. He's very versed in species.
Best in the America.
He's incredible. Jason Martin, owner of Homeschool Camels. We got a mug right over here that probably can't see because the camera's all fucked up. But
yeah, one day.
He was bringing a rhinoceros down to Florida. And they got there, and sometimes rhinos don't want to leave, their transport crates right away. You have to be patient with these guys. You don't want to get anybody hurt, you or the animal. And the veterinarian that was he was partnered with this. He was this facility's veterinarian, and I think he was also possibly a co-owner of the facility.
Could be a possibility. Don't really know too much about it, so I don't want to speak too much on it.
I don't recall. But anyway, this veterinarian was getting very antsy to get this rhino out of the crate, and Jason was like, you got to let it go out the right direction. And you got to wait for him to back out. You got to wait for him to leave. And the vet didn't want to wait. So what did he do? He opened the door. The rhino shot out like a bat out of hell and ran into a tree.
Yep. That
rhino is no longer with us because a veterinarian decided to tell somebody what to do from the private field, I shouldn't even say that. That'll get me started on a whole can of worms.
Don't not this one.
Maybe not this one. There's a very big difference between people that are from college versus old school animal handlers.
Out of a book versus hands-on, and correct. I've seen it every transport I was on. And it's actually sad.
And we need the book people. We need them. We need doctors. We need good people. We need good veterinarians. Not all veterinarians are great. Sorry, veterinarians. It's not hard to find a veterinarian. It's hard to find a good one.
Yes.
But as much as we need veterinarians, we also need veterinarians to know their place. Which, not to sound rude, but when I have problems with an animal, let's say camel, for example, I'm going to call some old guy that I have a phone number to that has raised 100 camels in his lifetime versus the vet that's seen one.
Yeah.
They got to know their place. And vets, in my opinion, a good vet for a facility like mine or other facilities is one that is willing to learn from somebody that actually handles these animals. They're willing to take advice and kind of work together with you to solve problems. Because vets, they make mistakes too. But a lot of them are willing to kind of use animals as test dummies, which they have to learn somehow.
That's why it's called practicing medicine.
It is practicing medicine. But, it's a little safer to trust the old guy that's handled 1,000.
Been around 1,000, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially like old guys like Don Meyer who were there for, some of the first elephants to ever step foot in this country.
Yeah.
These guys have seen more of these animals than anyone else has. And unfortunately, a lot of these old guys are dying off. And I hate to tell you guys, but the newcomers to the animal industry are us. And we got some screws loose too, We're
kind of have to.
Yeah. And, we're well versed in what we're well versed in, but the newer generations of animal people like we're not able to learn 100% of the things the old schoolers did because all the laws, rules, and new regulations kind of stopping things. And the biggest thing that we're not learning is animal behavior. You know, we're private here, so we can mostly do what we want. And you know, sorry USDA, sometimes we break rules, but it stops us from doing some of the crazy stuff that the old guys did, which I was thinking a little bit earlier about it when we were talking about the lions on parades and stuff. That stuff is dead. You can't do it anymore.
Never see it again.
You can never do it anymore. So when Tiger King came out, they actually launched. This goes right over people's heads. Nobody knows about it. They launched that television show or the Netflix series with a bill called the Big Cat Safety Act. And what the Big Cat Safety Act does necessarily is, it stops the wrong private owners from getting a hold of these cats. You know, it was X amount of species of cats: lions, tigers, maybe servals and ocelots. I don't exactly remember what the list pertains to, but it helps stop cats. Some of them end up in the wrong hands. It stops some cat breeding. You know, there's some okay parts of the law depending on how you look at it. But the big part of it is it stopped interaction with big cats. So they dropped this bill, dropped the TV show, which made the cat world look absolutely horrible, got a bunch of people behind it, and then the bill got passed through office, and now it's instated. But because of this, you know, if I have a tiger or a cougar, whatever, as well trained as I am for these animals, you know, as a professional individual, I'm not allowed to go in with my cat. I'm not allowed to play with it. You know, I'm not allowed to let a public person come in and pet my cat. It doesn't matter if it's 5 years old. And, you know, these aren't photo cubs. You know, we don't bring them in and then dispose of them later. Like, that's messed up. We don't do that. You know, if I were to bring a cat in, it would be living here forever. And now that this law is in place, nobody is able to enjoy these cats like the rest of us. And, you know, being in the private industry, we have a little bit of privilege to, you know, we have a little bit of leeway to play with cats and stuff like that. But we can't. We just can't let other folks enjoy them anymore, which is it's a damn shame. It's super sad, you know. And cats are a touchy subject. Cats are the second subject from elephants. You know, elephants were the first touchy subject, and now we're moving on to monkeys. They got this bill passed from, you know, the Big Cat Safety Act that they dropped with Tiger King. Now they have a show called Chimp Crazy, which is from the same producer of the TV show, and they launched that with a Primate Safety Act.
It's a conspiracy.
You know, it's really crazy how that works. And why I'm upset about that is because primates are cool. And I have a soft spot for primates. Like, there are some primates that I do go to zoos and I'm like, you need to be kept better. Like, I'm not going to throw shade, but I know a certain zoo that's in our area with orangutans, and it's the worst enclosure I've ever seen. Yeah. But anyway, we have lemurs at Rigdon Ranch, and lemurs are incredible. They're incredibly safe. They're not that smart, which kind of helps, you know, how safe they are.
I'm going to disagree with you on a couple things with lemurs, but that's just because of personal experience.
I don't think they're that smart.
You love them. Oh, they're not smart. No, that's why I don't like them.
So, well, here's I say lemurs are safe when they're mother raised. You know, the bottle raised ones, in my opinion, are the problematic ones. But he's seen some stuff with some lemurs. Lemurs can be aggressive, and they have huge fangs in their mouth.
I bet.
You know, like let's not forget about it. Any animal can be aggressive. You know, but moral of my story is I do lemur feedings here, and people come in and they feed the lemurs, and the lemurs jump away and come back when they want another one. And
that's great.
We go in with the lemurs. We have a great time. The lemurs are super friendly. My rule is you're not allowed to touch the lemurs. Give them food. They run away, come back when they want another piece. The lemurs can touch you, and no matter how petable they look, you're not allowed to touch the lemurs. That's my one rule, so we don't aggravate them. Everybody stays safe.
And the foxes.
But if this Primate Safety Act gets passed the same way the Cat Safety Act passed, I'm no longer allowed to let people enjoy the lemurs. And we're taking away education this way. We were just having a conversation about how animal behavior isn't, it's not something that can be taught in a book. And one way to figure this out is doing it, by visiting the lemurs, coming out, seeing how they act, record things. I had a gal come here that she used to work for Jodan Farm. She was doing a college presentation on animal behavior, and because she knows this place still exists, I let her come in and study the capybaras for a month. That is the real way to learn animal behavior, not read, oh, a capybara sleeps for 4 hours a day. How the fuck do you know that? You got to come check these guys out.
It's like reading about dinosaurs.
How the fuck do we know?
Unless you actually go touch them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we're taking away education that way as amongst animal behavior goes. And it's really cool when people come in and feed the lemurs, whether we're in with them or outside of their pen feeding them. We tell the tales of lemurs, why they're called the ghosts of Madagascar. We talk about how their herd dynamics work and all this good stuff. And anyway, what I'm really trying to get at outside of bantering about the USDA, we're losing cool things. And this is going to progress in the world. Elephants were first. Then they moved down to cats, and now they're moving down to primates. And sooner than later they could come after camels.
Orcas were in there too.
Orcas were for sure.
I kind of agree with the orca whole thing.
I'm with a lot of the movement for animals in water for sure. And I'm not super intelligent on animals in water. No. Those types of fish and the water mammals and whatnot, that's not my specialty. But those guys are housed in very weird situations.
Yep.
They are incredibly intelligent animals, and they do deserve a little bit better, which the same way a lot of animals do in captivity. But land mammals and reptiles, stuff like that,
not even near the same.
It's a whole different world.
So let's not talk about it too much.
It's not. You remember last summer when SeaWorld called? That was. So our friend Jason Martin, blah 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 blah, camel trainer. I've met a lot of people through him, and he's the camel guy. He's the camel connection guy, and SeaWorld. He taught me about their show. SeaWorld does a nativity show every year, and blah 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 blah, whatever. I guess none of that matters. SeaWorld was looking to get new camels. They wanted to replace the guy doing their nativity scene every Christmas. So SeaWorld got a hold of me, and I already wasn't like a huge fan of SeaWorld. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna hear him out. We're gonna see where this goes. Because the first thought in my head was like, oh my gosh, that's SeaWorld. Like, it's a big deal. That's a incredible part of my resume.
You've seen dollar signs.
It wasn't all dollar. That was my first thought before I even started getting into the contracts with them. But the dollar signs were the second thought. What can I make off of this? How we know SeaWorld has money. It's SeaWorld for Christ's sakes. And we start going back and forth off deals, and we did come up to a certain price. I don't remember it exactly, but it was about $130,000, which that was in the course of 3 or 4 months. So it was decent money. Who in their right mind could say no to a price like that for a normal gig or something? $130,000. That would I wouldn't be struggling right now. That if I had taken that gig, that would have changed life as we know it for the animals, me, everybody. This place would have new pasture fencing. I'd have a paid off truck. Like,
I could get a paycheck.
Seriously, like it's. Yeah, I pay him.
He does.
And he gets to ride in the nice truck.
And I get to ride camels too.
All that good stuff. So I started discussing this deal with them more and more, and I ended up turning them down for the health of my animals. The first thing I said, well, we're going to be down there for 4 months. It's going to be warm. I would like to exercise my camels because camels, they're large and they have to maintain muscle to be able to lift their huge bodies up daily, especially, as they get older, they lose muscle like we do. So we got to keep them exercised. And the first answer I got was, SeaWorld said, no, you're not allowed to bring saddles down here. We can't ride them. And I was like, you know what? That's insane, but I have some other ways to exercise them. So we'll keep working here. The next thing was they wanted the camels to live in stalls. And if you know camels, they get bored, they get destructive. You know, it's not a fun time for those guys. They need an environment bigger than a stall, and they need to be housed with each other, or else they're going to try to get to each other. They're going to start eating wood. They have to have a buddy. And I said, that's not going to work. They need a paddock to live in, you know, a yard. And they were like, well, they have a yard, but the other nativity scene animals are there. So when those guys go out, the camels have to go in, and they keep trading spots. And I was like, that's not good enough for my camels. Like, put them animals somewhere else so my camels can live in a yard. And so that was strike 2. But strike 3 is that their stalls were all concrete. You know, they wanted my camels to live on concrete for 3 or 4 months. And I couldn't do it. Like, that's absolutely terrible. You know, concrete is terrible for everybody to stand on for long periods of time. You know, I mean,
even I got mats at work standing on concrete.
It's terrible. It's bad for your joints. And you know, we have 3 camels. We have Newton, who he's 5. He's still growing. That could damage his growth.
Oh, destroy him.
It could mess up his ankles. They could get droopy and nasty.
Knees from laying down on it.
Absolutely, it could be terrible. And Peanut, who's 9 now, he's just a certified adult. You know, why give him some damage that could affect him later in the years? And then I have Doofus, who's 25 or so. You know, that this could contribute to him gaining arthritis or something. Like, why would we do this? All the money in the hole. I said I'm not going to do it, and I told the lady my reasons why, and she kind of batted an eye at me like I was crazy, and that's my story of SeaWorld.
Yeah, well, because you care about animals more than they understand, I guess.
Absolutely. You know,
And again, you're talking about fish compared to land animals.
Absolutely. So you know, as far, like, and it's kind of a touchy subject with who you're talking to, because, you know, there's SeaWorld, who we think of as a corporation. And then there's the keepers there. Yeah. And I promise you, just like most zookeepers, They love them animals. They love them. They would die for those animals. Oh, yeah. But the standard zookeeper can't fight the owners. They can't fight the corporation.
Nope.
But they at least are there to help give the animals, you know, what kind of good life they can. But it's a super weird, you know, subject when the typical workers come in, because we've done the same thing. You know, I mean, in retrospect, Jodan Farms was pretty great. You know, we had great animal health, but when there were things that we disagreed on, we weren't running the place. You know, we couldn't just make changes. For the most part, they were pretty open-eared.
Oh, yeah. Bob was always listening.
Absolutely.
And usually had a reason for doing something.
Yeah.
If you say, well, what if we do this? And then he'd have a reason not to do that. Or he'd say, oh, yeah, let's try it.
Absolutely.
Like, most of the time it was like that, unless you were building something. And then he'd be like, no, put this there and put that there. And that was annoying. But otherwise, yeah.
They were pretty open-eared. You know?
Yeah, he was really good. Most people, when I started, they were pretty open-eared, even though I didn't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
But as I get to know more stuff, you know, you just learn, you watch animals and their habits and all that, and then you kind of learn from them. And, hey, maybe we should give, you know, them a ball or something to play with. Well, this is why we don't give them a ball.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Absolutely. And there definitely are reasons, do's and don'ts for, you know, certain animals, certain enrichments, housing facilities, you know,
everything.
Literally everything. So, you know, when you go to the zoo, unless it's like a total shithole off the bat, like, you know, maybe judge a little less right away, and maybe talk to somebody, find out the reason this. Maybe, you know, somebody has a sprained ankle, so they shouldn't have a ball for a week, or, you know, there's reasons behind literally everything, or they're having trouble finding this animal something that he won't get his nails stuck in. You know, there's a reason for absolutely everything. But there's a very big difference in, you know, municipal zoos. Everything in most of them is done through, you know, shift doors.
No hands-on.
You know, a lot of no hands-on. And most municipal zoos, they do things for the safety of the people, for the keepers and the general public, so they don't have to go through lawsuits.
Yeah, which makes sense. I get it. You know, even when, you know, looking at the zookeepers out of all the zoos I've been to, and the times that they were actually working with the animals was kind of scary. I'm trying to pick up the zebra, and I got these, zookeepers with these little push boards that were like 2 by 3 feet. And I'm sitting there with a piece of plywood with ratchet straps. You remember those, right?
Yeah.
Bolted to it, because I know how hard these animals can hit and kick. And they're out with these zoo pros, they're called. They have the logo on them. They're all fancy, aluminum.
About the shields?
Yeah, just little shields, And I'm like, I laughed at it, like, oh my God, these guys are going to die. They put 4 or 5 darts in this thing, and it still wants to kill people. That was probably one of the craziest male zebras I had to move, besides the ones here that almost killed me. But
where was that from?
Ooh, man. There was a Sonic nearby, so it was down south somewhere.
Did you eat there?
We for breakfast,
Did you get the Frito burrito?
Yes, I think I did get the Frito burrito that time.
That was the first thing I ever had.
I got the breakfast burrito, I think. And I don't know, maybe I got the Frito. It was for breakfast, though, we went there. Because that was the first stop we stopped at after we picked up the zebra. And we had to make it a quick stop because we had to get the zebra. It was like a 2-hour, 3-hour drive to the next zoo.
Sure.
And was that just a headache?
Do you remember where you were going?
No.
You don't remember nothing?
No. And the guy I was with almost killed me in a car accident. That was that trip.
Were you not with Bob?
No, I was with what was his
the brother?
Jim?
The X? Was it the X?
No, I forget. It was a friend.
But he's the one that crashed the 06, right?
Yes,
that guy.
On that transport.
That was that trip. So you got a Z. I thought you had a monkey.
We had, that was before. We dropped all those animals off. So we had a Cotamundi, 2 monkeys in the truck, and then we had, I believe, a black buck in the truck, and there was another antelope, some kind of African hoofstock. And yeah, we crashed in Ohio in a snowstorm. Ugh. After we got stuck in an Ohio zoo, I put the truck up to the floorboards, and Jim got it out. I'm like, oh, this guy can drive. Yeah, we're good, man. Nope. This guy's good.
Nope.
After his first carton of cigarettes on the journey.
The first carton?
Dude, this guy smoked so many cigarettes. I was a cigarette smoker at the time.
Fuck.
And I couldn't sleep because the truck was so smoky. This dude chain smoked like nobody's business, and it was the worst transport. It was fun because I got to see a lot of zoos. I think that was also the time when a regular snapper fell off the shelf because the door opened up.
Snapper?
Like common snapper. The ones we get around here.
Like a turtle.
Yeah, okay. Common snapper turtle. Yeah, so they were in burlap sacks, and it was a short transport from one. Everything was really quick, like bang bang. We'd go. There was only a couple animals that were on there for I wouldn't see it more than a day, I don't think. And yeah, so this door flew open on the trailer over the nose, and they fell into an alligator snapper. It was in a blue, like 55-gallon drum.
Oh my god!
That was cut out on top. And again, we're not going far. He just has to be in this spot for a little bit. But the door flew open, and 2 out of 3 of them fell in there. And I looked to check on them, because every stop you got to check on the animals, give them water and everything. And I looked, and I said, oh, we have a problem. Like, what? I'm like, so the turtles are becoming buddies right now, but I don't know if they're going to be buddies for soon. Thank God that his head was like towards, because alligator snappers have a short neck.
Oh yeah,
but they have a bigger bite force. And
I was your arm off.
Oh, it was a big boy. He was over 100 pounds.
Got to grab him with both hands.
He barely fit in this barrel. I can't believe that's what they gave us. That's what they gave us.
The zoo gave you the barrel.
Yes, or whatever, wherever we picked them up from. I can't remember. It was a zoo, a private zoo, a private keeper. I cannot remember.
Oh man,
I have a bad memory. And
me too. It's okay.
Yeah, you're gonna get that a lot. And yeah, so I was kind of coaxing him with a stick on the one side. We found a stick on the side of the road.
Sure. I
was coaxing him with a stick on the one side, and then I grabbed one turtle out. I'm like, okay, that was cool. I went to go grab the second one out, and he started trying to turn around while he's stuck. I'm like, oh, you can't do nothing. Okay, cool. We're good. So I put those way up over the nose, made sure the door was shut, so that didn't happen again. And about an hour later, we were at the zoo.
There you go.
Thank God we didn't pull up to the zoo like that.
Yeah. Yes, that would have been terrifying, and you would have looked god awful.
Really bad. But normally we look pretty good. We look like the superheroes usually showing up to a zoo. It was pretty rare when we showed up to a zoo not looking good, you know.
Absolutely, you do look like a superhero because the most of the time you go to these zoos and deliver these crazy ass animals, those keepers aren't allowed to do what you're doing.
No.
You know, so they don't know how to move a fucking buck or a turtle.
Nothing.
You know, they're like, oh my god, he went in the trailer with a fucking buck.
Catching kangaroos one time, or no, it was a wallaby. We were catching wallabies the one time because the zookeepers couldn't touch them and couldn't. Well, not that they couldn't touch them, but they were scared of them.
For sure.
They didn't know what to do.
And that's so simple.
So we had to catch 2 wallabies out of this pen, which was a catch pen. It was like, oh, this is easy. Got them in the catch pen. Cool.
Yep.
They know that part.
Grab a tail. And
grab the tail and let's go for a ride. Don't let go.
You know, the only hard part of is kangaroos and wallabies is just grab them quick, don't stress them out, and get them.
Yeah.
Moved,
don't stress animals out. Learn that lesson the hard way.
Yeah.
That's for another talk.
Yeah, for sure. That's I'm gonna need another drink for those talks.
Yeah, that was
capture myopathy is
a real
fucked up
thing.
problem. Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes you learn the hard way.
Absolutely, and that's. Hey, look at all the greats. They figured out some crazy shit the hard way, for sure.
Well, Steve Irwin figured out the hard way, too, and R.I.P.
That's fucked up.
I'm just saying,
That's
he's an dude, he was the crocodile hunter. He wasn't the stingray hunter, let's be honest.
That's fair. So famous over there. That's I mean, he was incredibly well versed in a lot of things.
Oh, he was probably one of the best animal people on the planet.
The thing with Steve versus, like, even Don Meyer, Robert Meyer, or the guy that runs this zoo, or fucking what's his name from Columbus, Ohio, the knockoff Steve Irwin, Jack Hanna.
Oh yeah,
all of these guys. The one thing they were really everyone, you, me, all of us. The one thing nobody has that Steve Irwin had the most of is the respect and compassion.
Oh yeah.
I love these animals. I will tell you all day that I respect them. I will tell you that I'm passionate about them, but nobody did that like Steve Irwin.
Couldn't even hold the flame to him.
He was the most loving, caring fucking guy on the planet. You know what just screams that is his animal of choice was crocodiles.
Oh yeah.
And he knew how to work around them without upsetting them more, without getting eaten. Like,
terrifying.
Fucking terrifying. It's so scary.
They're more scary than a tiger. Yeah, they're not as fast. And sometimes.
And he, eons before Steve had passed away, he knew that if he passed away, he'd be passing doing what he loved,
and he did,
and B, that it could be his fault. Because he was very respectful of animals in their natural state, and he, it's kind of what happened.
My favorite clip of him, I just seen it. I don't know, maybe a couple years back. It's obviously floated around. Mm-hmm. He was riding a dirt bike, and you ever seen this one where he rolls up on 2 kookaburras?
Yes, and there's a kookaburra fight.
Yes, they were fighting, and they were doing the thing. Yeah. I loved it. I was like, he's like, you two stop it. And he broke the fight up. And like, he did it in such a calm, fine manner in front of a camera. It is so hard to work with animals in front of a camera. You've done it. I've done it.
Yes.
I every time I watch a movie and I see an animal, I'm like, oh, how'd they do that? I know how they did that. Or they really just did that on camera? That's impressive. How many takes did that take?
On camera.
Yeah. I shot lawnmower commercials with goats.
I did not know that.
Yes, with Jamie, I believe it was.
Do you know who it was for? No idea.
I have no idea. It was for somewhere up north. I think it was like a local...
Like a hardware store or something?
Yeah, maybe. I have no idea. Like, I did a photo shoot with Wilco. Didn't even know them.
Yeah. This guy, he did the self-titled album for Wilco, the band out of Chicago.
With Alfred the Camel.
Alfred the Camel.
And Mike walking him. Because I couldn't... I went along because Mike didn't want to be in the pictures, and I was supposed to wear the mariachi costume, and I was too fat.
He was too big to fit the costume. So
I was so sad.
That's so funny. So it's Mike's hand.
Yes.
In
just
the cover.
Enough.
Just a smidge. I don't know why they didn't, like, I know Photoshop was a thing.
There was so many pictures with him in it that was actually like looking like they were walking down an aisle, just their backs, and the back of that mariachi costume looked so good. and like he had his head down, and I thought it looked like a good picture. I was like, oh yeah, they're definitely gonna use that for like the back cover or something. Nope.
Do you have the legitimate jewel case CD of it?
No, Isaac does.
Tell him to bring it when he comes down.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's coming down soon. I thought.
It's a shame that Michael don't like his photo taken because he's in thousands,
Oh,
hundreds of
all
thousands.
of us.
He's a good looking dude, you know, literally all of it.
Yeah.
I have met people, you know, that at one point in time had no idea who they were, and then at some point I've met, I re-met them, or I've met, somebody that knew them, or like my buddy Cody, his wife Gina, I had no idea who she was 10 years ago, and now they're married, they have kids, blah 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 blah, and I'm in her family photo books. Oh yeah, like just walking people on camels.
There was a picture of me. I can't remember who showed it to me. They're like, "You need to smile more." I said, "Excuse me?" Like, I don't know if I was working at the time. I forget, but they came up to me when like cell phones, iPhones. I remember when iPhones started coming a thing. Yep. And I'm like, I don't know what to do for taking pictures.
I don't know how to do that.
So
put your hands down.
There were so many pictures. Like I was around when
I
like
don't know what to do with
pictures
my hands.
were like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Before cell phone cameras like were really taking off. That's when I started doing camel rides, and I didn't realize I was on Google. Mm-hmm. If at one point when you Googled camel rides, I was one of the top 20 photos.
That's hilarious.
And I looked so pissed, and I wasn't. I was rarely mad there, but I looked so mad. And they're like, "Oh, you need to smile more." I'm like, "What does that even mean?" They showed me the picture. I'm like, "Yikes!" Okay, I can't find the picture anymore. I wish I would have saved that picture because I know I have thousands just from the zoo alone. Mm-hmm. And that's when the iPhone first came out.
I don't even remember what year that was.
Yeah,
Sid, my brother, he brought home the first iPhone. And that phone, he was in the military. He probably got a first little bit of cut. He had an iPhone, and when he came back from, I don't know if it was boot. No, I think when he came back from break from Iraq, he brought a great Christmas. He brought me a Nintendo Wii. That's how he's making a little bit of cash. May had that military money, and I don't know what the fuck his money situation was, but whatever. He had an iPhone, and I remember it just blowing the piss out of me because he had a PlayStation 1 emulator on it, and I swear to God, Metal Gear Solid was playing on his phone. And nowadays, that's nothing. I can play PS2 on my phone. It don't matter. But back then, holy crap! I was used to playing a Bomber or Balloon Man or Snake on the flip phone, and and now I'm playing Metal Gear fucking Solid on the iPhone. That, mind blown. And
on the toilet.
On the toilet. Now my phone dies, I'm taking a 90s poop on the toilet. I can't do nothing.
You don't even know what that was about, do you?
I was born in 97.
We had magazines, we had newspapers. When somebody left a newspaper on the back, it was like, oh yeah, now I got something to do.
Hustlers on the back of the toilet. Anything interesting?
Not at work, but that was more home use, The articles. You got to read the articles because
sticky pages in
sometimes between. It was that's when it got weird.
But yeah, them camera, the iPhones came out and they had cameras. I mean, they were ass cameras at the time, shitty quality, but people were taking photos, man.
So many. We used to do Polaroid. Sorry to cut you off, but we used to do Polaroids for $5 a pop. But I think at first it was when I first started, it was $2 or $3.
Polaroids for the camel rides?
Yes, and pony rides.
Okay.
And we do Polaroids, and a couple of years later, that's when Hey Ya came out.
Okay.
And shake it like a Polaroid picture.
Yeah, yep.
We're like, don't shake it. We would tell people, they're like, well, that's what it says in Hey Ya. No. You'll ruin the picture if you shake it.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yes. Oh yeah. There's a guy at my work. The guy we stopped. We seen that camera. I sent him a picture to the at the antique store, and he his hobby is old cameras, and he had an old Polaroid, and I'm like, dude. Tell me, because are you supposed to shake that? It was an old green one, from one of the first Polaroid cameras. He's like, no, you'll ruin it. I'm like, my man.
I had no idea.
Yeah, you will ruin them, but you never used them, so.
No, I've never.
Because then we went to digital, and that was a complete nightmare.
Did you guys continue to do the photos?
Yeah, with digital pictures, and we had a printer up in that little box. That's why that box was built originally.
Just for photos?
For the tickets, the money, and then
because I remember keeping tickets and stuff in there. Yeah.
Yep, and then the printer was there too. I'm sure This was like pre-digital cameras. I mean, the digital cameras existed, but like when people started pointing cell phones at me, that was weird.
Yeah,
that's when it got weird.
Absolutely.
But
That's what I grew up with. People. By the time I started at Jodan Farms, I was 15 or whatever, and
I already had a cell phone.
Literally, I got my first phone in 6th grade.
Damn.
I actually got it so I could, apart from my kind of weird home life, to somewhat keep in touch with Sid when he left for the military. Which was kind of on and off from my memory. I mean, he was working, so
he was protecting us,
right? And I honestly, I pretty much talked to my aunt and my grandma the most.
That's what most 15-year-olds talk to, because nobody else has a cell phone at that age. So.
Right, and I downloaded a whole lot of porn. But then the crazy part is it was a slider. It was a slide-up phone.
Yeah, a couple of them.
So then I was learning how to use it. It was cool, and then that one broke eventually. It was a thin one of the small ones with like the 3 letters per button.
Yeah,
and then my next phone was a slider again, but it was wider, and each number or each letter had its own button. It was a full fucking keyboard. So like I was diving into the fucking 21st century here, which meant I could type in porn more easier, so but outside of that, I grew up with a phone with a camera. I'm young, whatever, fuck you.
No shade.
But I got into Jodan Farms, and I was literally, my first day on the job was doing camel rides, and you best believe there were moms taking pictures of me and their kids and this and that, like it was left and right. Myself alone, I can't imagine how many pictures I'm in. And you've been doing this twice as long as me. I can't imagine how pictures. If you imagine everybody that walked camels in Jodan history, the accumulation of how many photos you think is out there.
Oh,
yeah. I can't even. I have no idea.
Millions. Easily.
Gotta
millions.
be. Literally. Like, I mean, if I Google camel rides and scroll down enough, I'm finding myself. Like, to this day, I see it all the time.
Oh, yeah,
like,
for sure.
It's all over the place. Sometimes when you Google it, it kind of depends on what's going on in Google that day, and how the algorithms are looking. You see, sometimes you'll see like a lot of like in the desert or Middle Eastern looks and stuff like that. But I promise you, we're in there. Like, it's absolutely crazy. And
I'm semi-famous at one point.
We are the most unfamous famous people, because we're all over the internet, but nobody knows who the fuck we are, because it's all about the camels. It's not about us. If you guys Google camel fangs, it's one of the first pictures you'll see is my hand holding Doofus's mouth open so you can see his fang. And nobody knows that. I'm that meme, where there's a guy standing in the corner at the party, and they're like, nobody knows that's my hand on Google. It's like that.
Funny story about that, about Reddit. So I got into it with somebody saying, "Oh yeah, about camel fangs, yada yada. This is my buddy's camel." Like, that's the first image on Google. Yeah, I know. It's cool, right? I know that guy. I know that camel. I actually trained that camel.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I got into it with him, and I brought Shane into it. I don't think you commented or anything, because I think his was taken down pretty quick.
Was it?
Yeah, the comment. I didn't report it or anything, but it was taken down rather quick. Probably because, maybe he went to my profile. I don't know. People got scared.
Absolutely.
He went to church.
He went to church. People don't know what the fuck they're talking about half the time anyway. But
no, people that I want to protect animals. I love animals. Do you? Or you just you think you know what you're talking about?
100%. People are animal rights activists because they want them to have rights, but they don't know what the right thing for the rights are.
No.
It's I was telling you. I had a lady yesterday on my TikTok live who was trying to tell me where rabies came from. We were having this large conversation about rabies in TikTok live. I don't even remember why. Whatever. But I've done my research on rabies. It's something everybody in the animal industry should know a little bit about. And I'm like, hey, rabies it's kind of from Iraq. It's from Iraq. And so he's like, no, rabies is from Europe and blah, 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 blah. And I really just quit arguing with her really, really quickly. But the thing about rabies is it came over here from the European settlers because they brought things like rabid dogs. Where did they get the rabies? Typically from bats. The bats are from Asia. And those guys, the bats, the old world bats, they're called. They're not from Europe. They're from Asia, but the continents are connected. So people kind of mistake it all the time. Excuse me. So because the continents are connected, they had rabies traveling, and then it hopped on the boats within their species, and it came over here, and now we're all doomed from it. Luckily, it's really not that big of a problem.
It is a zombie virus. Can we be real about that?
It kind of is.
Like, it's a step away from people eating their face off.
Absolutely.
Imagine a person that is on bath salts with rabies.
Oh my God, I don't want to imagine.
Bro, monster.
We're lucky that things that acquire rabies die rather quickly.
Right.
That's
what a horrible thing. You're scared of water. Thank God there's like a thing like you can. I got bit. Can I get my thing? And it's like 1,000 shots or something like that.
It's a series of shots, but it doesn't save you. Like,
not all the time. No.
It's probably, I don't know what the stats of dying of getting bit by something rabies is, but I would put money on that. It's 99%.
No, I don't know.
100%.
Bring that up.
100%. There's the Milwaukee rabies method or whatever it's called. The first person ever saved from rabies was in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Was in Wisconsin. It was a young girl that got bit by a bat at church. She picked it up, didn't know any better, and about a week later or whatever, she had symptoms. The doctors put her in a medically induced coma, and she woke up 2 weeks later or whatever. Rabies was gone. Her body had time to fight it off because everything else in her body was slowed down. This method, I should say before, she did have to relearn motor skills. She had to walk and do all this stuff, but she's alive to this day. She has family, she has kids, and she has a wicked story to tell. But this Milwaukee protocol, it saved, I think, only 7 more people worldwide. So it's very, 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 very hard to come back from rabies.
Oh yeah.
We'll look it up. How many people live from rabies? But I'd imagine it's incredibly high. Fewer than 20 people worldwide have survived rabies.
20 people. And
nevertheless, rabies still kills tens of thousands of people each year. Of these cases, approximately 99% are acquired from the bite of dogs' infections. So fewer than 10 people in the U.S. die from rabies a year, which I'd imagine. I think it's 99% or 90%. Don't quote me on this. Of rabies exists in India today.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it's India.
That's where the new COVID's going to come from. So.
Who knows?
Something's coming out of there.
It's not super worrisome here in the United States, and each part of the United States is different when it comes to it. Up here, like I know next door in Minnesota, they did a test, and about 50% of skunks tested came back with rabies, but they only tested about 500 skunks. But 50% is also very, very large.
That's pretty
large. Wisconsin, we've only had a very slim amount of positive rabies here. And then, we go over down to like Florida and to the right side of the country, raccoons are more prominent over there. So it's different in every part of the country. I don't even know how we got onto rabies here, but it's a crazy subject.
Well, we went through that last year, so.
Yeah, for sure. So, we have wild animals here. There are animals that do make their way around the facility, so it is something that we have to talk about and have, concerns about. So we're a little primitive on the knowledge of rabies around here for sure.
But we're working on it, so.
Absolutely. But zoos happen. This happens all the time, and we're actually pretty well controlled over here because we have llamas for one. There's been llamas on this property for a long time, and the neighbors have donkeys and stuff like that. And donkeys and llamas are one of the best controlling animals for your facility. Those guys, like if a coyote even smells llama piss, it's not coming to your house. Like llamas and donkeys, they will stomp that coyote's head in and make it look like mashed potatoes.
It's pretty impressive. I've seen it happen to a dog.
That's insanity. Like they don't fuck around. They truly do not fuck around. But anyway, guys, I think we are going to leave you with thoughts of rabies. You know, nobody have nightmares of Cujo tonight. If anybody, he said that's all Cujo was. I thought growing up that Cujo was like an alien dog or something. No, he was just a fucking rabid dog, dude. The whole movie was about rabies, fucking bullshit. But while it is a worry, you know, it is a little, you can relax on it a little more than most people think about it. But I'm gonna leave you with the thought of rabies. We're gonna get out of your hair right now. Mostly because I really have to urinate. But we're gonna leave you with that. If anybody has enjoyed the first episode of What Day Is It? You know, let us know if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything you would like us to discuss on the next episode. Let us know. You can comment on Spotify. I don't know if Apple will let you. You can comment on YouTube if you watched it there, even though the video was blurry as fuck the whole time. Sorry about that.
We'll fix that. He's a videographer, he says. But
I have ideas to fix it, but it's a rather new lens and some other shit. But whatever. I think we got some good audio. You know,
I think it sounded good. Let us know how it sounds.
Absolutely.
Please.
Absolutely. Let us know how it was.
The pilot episode, you know?
I hope this entertained you guys. And, you know, I know we're all over the place, but I guess that's kind of how podcasts work. But we're hitting the topics. We're hitting animal-related topics. This is what the goal is. And I hope you guys can tell we're ready to do this and be open and honest with you guys about the animal industry. So if you guys are curious about anything that goes on in the country with animals, give us a holler, shoot us a comment, you know, shoot me a message on TikTok, whatever you guys would like. But
good or bad,
you know, we'll be honest with you. And without further ado, this was What Day Is It?
Happy Hump Day, everybody.